Welcome, my dear students. So excited to meet you again in another episode of our program for English language for first prep under the supervision of the Ministry of Education. أهلا بكم أعزائي الطلبة في حلقة جديدة من حلقات برنامجنا للصف الأول الإعدادي للغة الإنجليزية تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. Today we are going to finish Unit 8. We are going to complete Unit 8, the amazing world around us. تمام؟ And we will have a wonderful listening and reading texts we will read together. Let's start. Today we will start this part of our session by the speaking and reading part. And we will start by reading about the Grand Egyptian Museum, المتحف المصري الكبير. Let's read together. The oldest museum in Cairo opened in 1835. There were more than 106,000 of Egypt's most valuable treasures on display. يعني إيه الكلام ده يا ولاد؟ The oldest museum in Cairo opened in 1835. المتحف القديم اللي في التحرير اتفتح سنة 1835. There were more than 160,000 of Egypt's most valuable treasures. وكان في حوالي أكتر من 160 ألف قطعة من القطع القيمة جدا للكنوز المصرية. On display يعني كانت في العرض. However, وبالرغم من ذلك, the museum didn't have space for 100,000 other objects. وبالرغم من العدد المهول اللي كان بيعرضه المتحف المصري القديم, كان في shortage أو ما كانش في enough space for the other objects اللي هم كانوا حوالي 100,000 other objects, 100,000 قطعة أخرى. In 2002, there was a competition to design a bigger and more modern museum. The competition had 1,557 designs from more than 80 different countries. سنة 2002 there was a competition, كان في مسابقة to design a bigger and more modern museum عشان يبدأوا يصمموا متحف أكبر وأكثر حداثة من المتحف القديم. The competition had 1,557 designs. كان في حوالي أكثر من 1,557 design أو تصميم from more than 80 different countries, من حوالي أكثر من 80 دولة حول العالم. Paragraph 2. The Grand Egyptian Museum أو GEM welcomed its first visitors in 2019. المتحف المصري الكبير استقبل أول الزوار ليه سنة 2019. It's farther from the city center than the old museum. وهو طبعا زي ما احنا عارفين هو أبعد من oldest museum المتحف القديم, لأن old museum was very near to the center of Cairo أو لقلب المدينة. But only 2 kilometers from the pyramids at Giza. بس at the same time it's very near to the pyramids of Giza, ودي advantage رائعة إن يبقى في مكان مخصص أو related بكل الآثار الفرعونية بتاعتنا. طيب, kilometers from the pyramids at Giza, it has more space from valuable objects. وطبعا هو في it has more space, في مكان أوسع بكتير for the valuable objects, للمعروضات القيمة اللي هنعرضها فيه. More people can see them, وهيبقى في عدد أكبر من الفيزيتورز هيقدر يدخل ويتفرج على المتحف, and it's able to look after the objects really well. وهيبقى طبعا في عناية أكتر بكتير. It's able to look هيبقى سهل جدا إن هم يخلوا بالهم من المعروضات القيمة دي بطريقة أحسن وأحدث. Paragraph 3. One of the most beautiful parts of the museum is the entrance. What is the meaning of the word entrance? Entrance come from the verb enter, بيدخل. الانترنس هو المدخل. A gate or a passage or maybe a door, and open to be able to enter to a hall, a lobby or something. تمام؟ يعني الانترنس هو المدخل بتاع أي شيء. One of the most beautiful parts of the museum is the entrance with its big plants and statues, اللي فيه نباتات ضخمة وكبيرة وكمان تماثيل ضخمة جدا. The biggest is that of Ramses II. Ramses II اللي هو رمسيس الثاني، وده one of the most famous kings in the ancient Egyptian kingdom في المملكة الفرعونية القديمة. Which is 12 meters high، وبيكون بيصل طوله لحوالي 12 متر. Moving these objects from the old museum in Tahrir to complete the Grand Egyptian Museum is not easy. أكيد. To be able to move all the objects and all from the old museum to the new museum, it's a very difficult process. عملية صعبة جدا. To the Grand Egyptian Museum is not easy. It's expected to take many years of hard work. ومن المتوقع إن هي هتاخد سنوات طويلة من الهارد work أو من العمل الشاق. After reading the text, match the headings from A to C with the paragraphs from 1 to 3. دلوقتي احنا عندنا اهو we have some questions and we have to match these questions to the suitable paragraph in the text. مفروض هنحاول نماتش أو يعني نظبط كل question أو كل title مع الباراجراف suitable paragraph for it. طيب let's see بقى what to see in the new GEM. ايه اللي حضرتك مفترض ان انت تشوفه في النيو GEM؟ احنا قلنا paragraph 3. Why? Because in paragraph 3 we have mentioned that you can see the entrance which is full of wonderful statues and big plants. تمام؟ And one of the most obvious statues in the entrance is the statue of Ramses II. تمام؟ رمسيس الثاني. يبقى what to see in the new GEM دي related ب paragraph number 3. Why did the museum in Tahrir need to move? ليه الميوزيوم in Tahrir need to move? Exactly. It's the first paragraph of paragraph number 1, because in the first paragraph we have talked about how the old museum didn't have the suitable or the enough space to put all the Egyptian valuable objects in it. تمام؟ Okay. Where is the GEM and what is special about it? هو مكانه فين and what it's special about? Excellent. طبعا هتبقى the second paragraph أو paragraph number 2 عشان في paragraph number 2 احنا اتكلمنا على where is the GEM مكانه هيبقى فين، واحنا قلنا ان هو it's farther from the center of Cairo or from the center of the city, but it's near to the pyramids of Giza. Okay, read the text again and say what these numbers refer to. طيب let's check our memory كده and try to remember النمبرز دي بتبين لنا refer to what. Okay. طيب أول حاجة the first number عندنا number 2. Number 2 is the number of kilometers from the pyramids of Giza to the GEM. احنا قلنا إن الإيجيبشن ميوزيوم بيبعد عن it's near to the pyramids of Giza. Okay. It's only 2 kilometers. هو بالضبط بيبعد عن البيراميدز of Giza 2 kilometers. The number of 80 refers to what? احنا ذكرنا we have mentioned the number of 80. امتى؟ Exactly. The number of 80, it is the number of countries which participated in the competition. عدد الدول اللي شاركوا في المسابقة to design a new and modern museum. تمام؟ Okay. 1557. 1557. It refers to what? Excellent. The number of designs in the competition. The number of designs in the competition. عدد الديزاينز اللي شارك في المسابقة which participated in the competition to find a new design for the new museum. 12. Exactly. The height of the statue of King Ramses II. الهايت أو الارتفاع بتاع التمثال of King Ramses II which exists in the entrance of the GEM. 160,000 the number of Egypt's valuable treasures which were displayed in the old museum. احنا قلنا we have two numbers 160,000 ده number of Egypt's valuable treasures which were displayed in the old museum, and 100,000 the number of the Egyptian objects or the Egyptian treasures which don't have enough space to be displayed in the museum. 2002, the year of the competition to design a bigger and more modern museum. السنة اللي اتعملت فيها الكومبيتيشن عشان نقدر نلاقي design for the modern and the bigger museum. Okay, now let's go to another reading part or another reading text. But before we start reading, we have to look or to focus on the frame of this page. Look at this page, please. Look at this picture. Look quickly at the text. Choose the correct answer. The text is from A. التكست دي, الpage دي, comes from A. A short story, قصة قصيرة. Look at the frame. No, of course. A website review, maybe. A guidebook, دليل الكتاب أو هو البوك أو النوتبوك which we have when we travel abroad to find information about popular places أو different places. Okay? Of course, it's a website review. Look at the frame. الفريم ده, البيج دي متاخدة من a website. Okay? طيب. What's the meaning of the word review? Review is it's a piece of writing in which you can talk or write about your personal opinion. Okay? Or to start to judge. بحكم about the quality of something. يبقى a review, it's a piece of writing in which I can write about my opinion in something, رأيي في شيء, أو to judge the quality of something. بقدر أحكم على الكواليتي بتاعت شيء معين. يبقى of course this page come from a website review. Excellent, super. تمام? Here I'm talking about my opinion. أنا شخص, I'm talking about my personal experience about a trip أو about something I made أو something I had in the past. So I start to talk about it. We had a wonderful holiday in Egypt. احنا كان عندنا أجازة رائعة في مصر. These are my opinions about 3 of the most interesting places. وده كان رأيي في 3 من أجمل الأماكن الشيقة اللي احنا زرناها. Number 1, the Valley of the Kings. What is the meaning of the word the Valley of the Kings? The Valley of the Kings in Luxor هو وادي الملوك. The Valley of the Kings and Queens هو وادي الملوك والملكات اللي موجود in Luxor. And in this valley you can see or you can visit a lot of tombs for a huge number of kings and pharaohs of ancient Egypt. اوكي؟ يعني في وادي الملوك والملكات ده انت ممكن تزور مقابر كتيرة جدا لملوك وملكات من الأسر القديمة في مصر القديمة. اوكي. The Valley of the Kings in Luxor is one of the most popular places for tourists. واحد من أهم الأماكن اللي الناس أو السياح بيزوروها. We went early because that is the quietest time. إحنا حبينا نروح بدري. We went early because that's the quietest time. ده بيبقى أهدى وقت في اليوم. My brother said, this is fantastic. I'm sure it gets busier later or during the day. ده شيء رائع وأعتقد أو أنا متأكد إن هو هيستمر في الازدحام during the day مع مرور الوقت في النهار. Look at this picture. It's a picture for الكارناك temple. The biggest place we went to was the Karnak temple, معبد الكارناك. My favorite part was the hypostyle hall. الhypostyle hall 5,000 square meter room. هي hall كبيرة جدا with 134 stone columns. وفيها عمدان مصنوعة من الحجارة. حوالي 134 عمود من الحجارة. I think it was more crowded than the Valley of the King. وأعتقد إن هي كانت more crowded يعني full of people أو full of visitors أكتر من ال Valley of the Kings، أكتر من وادي الملوك. In my opinion، في رأيي the best and quietest place we visited was Habu Temple، معبد هابو. It has columns similar to those at Karnak, but because it's less crowded, you can study them for longer. هو كان فيه نفس الأعمدة اللي موجودة في متحف الكارنك، بس لأنه أهدى فأنت بتقدر تاخد وقتك في إنك تعمل studying أو تلاحظ أو تتفرج بطريقة أحسن على الأعمدة. Answer these questions بقى. In the text written in the first ولا second, is the text written in the first or second or third person? Hey, who can answer this question? We have said before, if I'm going to talk about a personal experience, بتكلم على تجربة شخصية، أو if I want to talk about something happened to me, I have to use the first person. بالضبط. أنا بحكي عن حاجة حصلت لي، يبقى I have to say I or we. Okay? I can't say he or she. تمام؟ يبقى in the first person. Which expressions does the writer use to show opinions? احنا اتكلمنا. If I want to talk about my opinion, I have to say what? في some expressions like I think, in my opinion, for me. تمام؟ يبقى which expression does the writer use to show opinions? The writer uses some expressions like I'm sure, I think, and in my opinion. في رأيي الشخصي أو أنا أعتقد أو أنا متأكد. Okay? Which word does the writer use to show a reason for something? Let's remember together. In the session when we started to differentiate between the usage of because and although. إحنا قلنا I use because to answer the question start with why. ليه؟ I use because to justify my speaking. أدي الcause أو reason to say the cause or the reason of something عشان أقول السبب بتاع شيء معين. يبقى which word does the writer use to show a reason for something? Of course, the writer uses because. استخدم because لأن. Which comparative and superlative adjectives does the writer use to compare the places? Wow, we have a lot, okay? We have a lot of comparative and superlative forms of adjectives in these texts. The writer uses comparative and superlative adjectives like the quietest, the biggest, more crowded, the best, and the busier. All these are superlative and comparative forms of adjective. Let's بقى move to another part, and we will come back to the measurements. I want from you to focus and concentrate in this picture. Here we have 3 buildings. تمام? We have 3 buildings. The first one اللي هو Nile View, the second the King's House, the third Alexandria House. And we have some measurements in this picture. First, the height of the buildings. عندي the height of Nile View 34 meters. عندي it was built in 2017. بدأ اتبنى في 2017. King's House, the height of King's House is 23 meters and it was built in 2011. The height of Alexandria House is 33 meters and it was built in 1998. تمام? Okay. And the length of the street is 2 kilometers. And here, look at the bottom of the picture. We have the car parking أو car park, and its depth العمق بتاعه حوالي 10 meters. تمام؟ Okay. Look, read, then complete the questions. After looking carefully for this picture, we have to complete the questions and answer about these buildings. Let's بقى look at the questions. Complete the questions and answer about these buildings using these adjectives طبعا. Deep, deep احنا قلنا deep يعني عميق. High, high. Most, long, old. Okay. How? Of course. Super. How old is the Nile view? How old is the Nile view? It's 5 years old. 5 سنوات. وهنا أنا استخدمت old عشان in the answer I have years old. تمام؟ How deep is the car park? هنا I'm talking about the car park يبقى I'm talking about the depth يبقى how deep احنا قلنا when I ask a question with how I have to use the positive form of adjective. It's super. It's meters under the it's 10 meters under the ground. How space is the road? It's kilometers. احنا قلنا length of the road 2 kilometers يبقى how long is the road? It's 2 kilometers. Super. How is the king's house? How high is the king's house? قد ايه الكينج's house ارتفاعه؟ It's super. It's 23 meters. And the last question is which house has the people? Which house has the most people? It is the Nile view. It is the Nile view because if you remember in the picture, the Nile view has the most people, it has more people than in the other 2 buildings. Okay? Got it يا ولاد? I think that we reached the end of our session. I hope that you enjoyed this session like me and that you got all the information we have covered during the session, got the grammar lesson, the comparative forms, and the text listening. For me, I enjoyed, really I enjoyed the listening and the reading texts we have read in this session. Thank you so much and see you next time, inshallah. Bye-bye.